This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you feel like your best, fam, you can do anything. You can accomplish all those goals in your life, make sure your family's good, and even start, who knows, a mildly successful podcast. Sometimes life gets you bogged down. You might feel overwhelmed. You're not showing up every day the way that you want to. But working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of you. Because when you feel empowered, you're more prepared to take on everything that life throws at you. The benefits of therapy are endless. It's great to just check in with somebody who can give you some perspective on life. Make sure that you're meeting all the goals that you've set for yourself in life. So whether or not you've been in therapy, now could be the time to give BetterHelp a shot. It's convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online. Just fill out their brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Couldn't be easier. If you want an empowered life, therapy can get you there. So visit BetterHelp.com/madaboutmovies today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/madaboutmovies.
What's up?
Remember that?
Ladies and gentlemen, make yourselves comfortable. I'm Kent Garrison.
I'm Brian Gill.
And I'm Richard Barton.
And this is Mad
About
Movie.
You sound insane. You realize that? Yeah. The whole world gone crazy. Are you serious? Ladies and gentlemen. It's showtime.
Mad About Movies is the only movie podcast that effectively breaks down movie news, movie rumors, and as Ken always points out, movie rumblings. Ah, yeah, you gotta have the rumblings. We talk about all the latest going on in the world of cinema to start the podcast, and then we break down our movie of the week, but be forewarned, that movie will contain spoilers, and then we give you our weekly recommends. Please feel free to listen to the beginning and end of this podcast if you haven't heard the movie, or if you haven't seen the movie of the week. But if you have, stay with us all the way through, and we will give you all the latest thoughts and opinion around that movie. And Brian, that movie of the week this week is
G.I. Joe Retaliation.
What if the president isn't the president?
Our government has been infiltrated. Any and all traces of our existence is terminated.
We have to assume that there's no one we can trust.
There is one man. He's the reason we call ourselves Joes.
Take 2 cases of Thin Mints and a box of Chocolates.
I just want to say, I have to admit that G.I. Joe Retaliation is one of the most accurately titled films of the year because it's the exact feeling that I felt towards Paramount immediately following the screening of this film, which we'll go into detail more a little bit later in the show. But Retaliation, yeah.
Spoiler alert, we all three loved it.
We all did. We're going to love talking about it. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Thank God I have this podcast. Otherwise, I cannot imagine a more fruitless afternoon.
Exactly. Seriously. Let's, anything you want to mention, Brian? Movie news.
Yeah, I saw a couple of things that were interesting. Did y'all see the casting for the Captain America sequel? Do you see the big news that came down today officially?
I did see some news in that regard. I'm not sure which news you're talking about.
The person that they have tagged, the actor that they have tagged to lead S.H.I.E.L.D. in the early days of Captain America is none other than Robert Redford.
Wow. The Horse Whisperer?
Yeah, man, the Horse Whisperer himself.
I think he's known best from the Horse Whisperer.
Yeah.
Now, if
is that the guy from Spy Game?
If we can
Getting him sneakers.
If we can get some horse whispering in Captain America 2,
yeah,
you know, if they can work those two plot lines together, I think that'd be pretty impressive.
So, Brian, you say the early days of Captain America. Is he going back in time now? What's going on?
I don't know about that. That's confusing to me as well. But I think that this will take place somewhere between the. I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna happen. I know the general plot has something to do with his the buddy of his. Now I can't think of his name. I'm gonna have to IMDb it, but. The friend of his,
Bucky.
Yeah, Bucky. Bucky comes back as a villain, and it has something to do with that. And so maybe I misspoke. I'm not sure if it's going to be prior to the end of Captain America and then the Avengers and all that stuff. Or
I hope so. I hope it's back in time because Richard has a little bit of a crush on the girl from the original Captain America.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm more than willing to welcome her back. I'll even forgo any sort of like logic. Like if he's just back in those times, that's fine with me too. You don't even have to explain it as long as she returns.
Yes. All right. Okay. I'm looking at the IMDb page, and it looks like it's going to be set after the Avengers.
Okay.
So she's long since dead.
She's dead or very old, Richard. One or the other.
Well,
looks like Redford.
I can work with either. I have to.
Yeah. Redford will, I guess, kind of fill in the shoes of Agent Coulson.
Okay.
I hear they're bringing Agent Coulson back, though, in the S.H.I.E.L.D. television series. You hear about
That's
that?
what I've heard as well, yeah.
I'm really excited about that show, which is apparently about to kick off, I think maybe in the summer. So
Is that going to be on ABC?
It's on ABC, and it's it's going to be like a, I guess, CSI type show centering around S.H.I.E.L.D. So that's exciting. If we can maybe get some Marvel heroes, to cameo in a couple of the episodes, and if it's not only about S.H.I.E.L.D. and it actually pertains to things that are currently going on in Marvel's cinematic universe, that's going to be the biggest show. I mean, it's going to be the next Walking Dead or, I don't know, Lost or the next, I don't know, whatever shows that people get crazy about. But
it's nice to know Disney's figured out.
Of Whitney. It's going to be the next Whitney. Yeah.
It's nice to see that Disney's figured out how to monetize this sucker.
Exactly.
TV show. It's good to see someone's finally going to be making some money off of this.
Right.
I want to mention some more Marvel news. I saw some concept art came out today for Avengers 2 and for Guardians of the Galaxy. Did you see this, Brian or Richard?
I must have missed it.
Man, every piece that they release on this film, Guardians of the Galaxy, it gets me so excited for it. It looks to be awesome. So they have cast, I think, Bautista, the wrestler from WWE, as Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. So they now have Star-Lord and Drax cast. I hear they're trying to court Jim Carrey for Rocket Raccoon, the voice of Rocket Raccoon, or Sacha Baron Cohen, I heard maybe even. So interesting movie, kind of a comedic superhero character. Raccoon is involved, and a tree guy named Groot. So
it's
really crazy.
Right.
It's really going to be crazy. It's going to be definitely probably the most gritty, I would say, of the Marvel films that's going to come out. It's going to be kind of probably a Watchmen, toned movie. But really, really excited for it because
nothing says grit like a animated raccoon.
Yeah, Rocket Raccoon. You laugh, but he's probably one of the more tough Marvel characters that they've come out with. He's just like relentless raccoon, or relentless, I should say.
And you could say that he's arguably one of the most aggressive Marvel characters. He's certainly the most aggressive. I think we can all agree, raccoon-based superhero.
And he's named after a Beatles song, so that's a win-win right there.
Rocky Raccoon.
Marvel and Beatles.
Went into his room only to find Gideon's Bible.
Some superhero, staying on the superhero theme, Justice League news and rumors have been swirling every week.
What about rumblings?
There has been one rumbling this week that I wanted to bring up. I usually only bring up the rumblings, so...
Hold on, let me check my seismograph. Yep, we've got a reading.
Yes. Bradley Cooper, guys, is being courted, apparently by Warner Brothers, to play the Flash in Justice League. So
that's really good casting.
Thoughts on that?
That's really good.
Brian Gill?
Yeah, that could be very interesting. I have a hard time with the Flash because all I can think of is that early 90s TV show series that starring the Flash that lasted like 3 episodes. Y'all remember that? That may have been before your time. I remember being very excited about it as like an 8-year-old, and then even as an 8-year-old saying, "Oh, this is not good at all." So I have a hard time shaking that out of my memory. But that is good casting. If they end up going that route, Bradley Cooper would make a good secondary character in a comic book movie like that.
Apparently, he auditioned for the role of Green Lantern, but didn't get it. So
Well, that's to his detriment, really.
exactly. And they were going to apparently make a Flash standalone film that never happened.
With Ryan Reynolds.
Apparently. No, it was going to be Bradley Cooper, but then it never happened. And so they're trying to get him to do Flash again. But
Ryan Reynolds legitimately did circle the Flash for several years, and then he decided to make Green Lantern instead, which is a decision I'm sure he stands by to this day, and I'm sure Bradley Cooper, considers that to be the role that got away.
Yeah, it's really too bad he had to do Silver Linings Playbook instead of the Green Lantern.
Right, and The Hangover. Yeah, it's just
an
horrible.
Unfortunate turn of events there.
Warner Brothers is saying that they're not going to do Justice League unless they can get a big name star attached or introduce a new big name star in a superhero role. So it doesn't look like they're going to go the unknown route for any of these characters.
Yeah,
which is good. You never would have seen Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark until it happened, and then it was a match. It was perfect. So.
Right.
I would like to see Bradley Cooper do a superhero film, and that's the perfect opportunity for him, The Flash, I think.
Yeah.
Has there been any more discussion as far as Nolan's involvement with...
I don't think I have seen anything. He keeps denying it, of course, but, until Man of Steel comes out, there's really no telling what is going to happen. And
I think all of this hinges on Man of Steel. It's gotta get a good rating with critics and Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, and it's got to make a ton of money because otherwise, Justice League is a bomb waiting to happen. You've got to know that the audience is there because you're going to end up spending $200 or $250 million on that movie and take a bunch of big chances and ask. If they end up casting big names in every role, you got to ask all those guys to take probably lesser money and definitely lesser screen time, all that sort of thing. You're courting disaster if Man of Steel is not a pretty significant success. So
totally agree.
Unless you can sign Mike James or something late and save some money against the cap. Then you can get the guys to play cheaper.
A little bit of sports humor there for you guys.
Right.
We sprinkle it in every now and then. I wanted to mention, of course, Star Wars news, Brian. This is a bombshell. If it's Richard loves making fun of some of the greatest movies in cinematic history.
That's why he's in Rochester and we're not. So.
Exactly. This could be a bombshell, though, Brian. It really could. Apparently, the Lord of the Rings Desolation of Smaug, or Hobbit: The Desolation of Smaug, is starting. The trailers are starting to maybe come out. Peter Jackson just released a Q&A in which he talked about the Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug. But if you watch the video of the Q&A video that he released on Facebook, there is a frame that if you see on his desk, a script for Star Wars episode 8. And it says Peter Jackson, huge on the top. It's like under a stack of papers, and you can barely make out the title. So I don't know why that was put in there, if it was not meant to be in there, or what is going on, really. All I've seen is a screenshot. So thoughts about that?
Well, first off, you can hate on me for being in Rochester all you want, but I consider this to be the Hoth of New York. Because there's weird...
You have not been to Buffalo. Just go there, sir.
I'm going in the morning. That's where I'm driving first thing tomorrow morning. So
go Stars.
Are you going to wear a Troy Aikman jersey?
Dallas Stars jersey.
I'm going to wear Stars pants and a Troy Aikman jersey. And then I'm going to say, and if the Buffalo Clippers were still around, we'd beat you at that too.
Right.
They're not. Anyway, continuing on. That seems like a pretty good match. How did you guys feel about the most recent Hobbit film? Do you think it was up to snuff?
I felt like it was. I felt like it was. It met expectations. I don't feel like it exceeded any, really. But you get what you expect from Jackson, and it was a fine continuation of the series. I felt.
My point on The Hobbit is I don't think you can judge it fairly until all 3 movies are out, and then you can look at it as as a whole. That was my opinion.
What do you guys think about it visually? Would you like to see that sense of camera? Would you like to see that type of cinematography brought to Star Wars? You guys would care more than not.
Yeah, the last time I watched The Hobbit, I actually thought about what if Peter Jackson did a Star Wars film, and I think he would do awesome. He has such good taste, it seems like. It's going, for example, District 9. He wasn't a director, but he was the executive producer and pretty much the visioneer of that film, and it's one of the better sci-fi movies to come out in the past decade,
Yeah.
So, I would definitely give him a shot, I don't see why Lucasfilm would want to go away from J.J. Abrams following this next Star Wars film, probably because J.J. Abrams wants to do the third Star Trek film after this Star Wars film. So, he'll probably go back and forth. So,
you think they'll let him do that? I mean, that seems
I think he's already said that he's going to do the next Star Trek. So, I'm sure that was part of the agreement. Hey, I want to finish my trilogy here and still do this, because it's going to be a great film, whether he's, still making Star Trek films or not. He's just a great filmmaker. So, having said all that, I think Peter Jackson would be great. It seems like it would fit the timeline of what they're currently thinking here as far as 7 and 8. I'm thinking maybe the There and Back Again comes out, 2015? Christmas, maybe?
Maybe I think 2014.
2014.
I think they're back to back to back.
I feel like the last press release that I saw, it was every Christmas for the next 3 years is going to be a Hobbit film.
Those are already all shot though, right? Those are done.
Right. But he also has the Tintin sequel that he's committed to after the Hobbit. So it looks like it's going to be. I mean, he's with the same family, this Kathleen Kennedy, Steven Spielberg, family. Right. For Tintin, so I mean, after he's done with these Hobbit films, it seems like that's where he's going to set up camp for a while, and that's exciting. I would love to see a J.J. Abrams, Star Wars film, a Peter Jackson one, and then maybe who knows, Darren Aronofsky, some David Fincher, someone crazy for the third film. That's exciting though, and still not George Lucas. So
yeah.
Any more movie news you guys want to go over?
No, that's all I've got.
That's all you got, Richard?
All I got.
That's all I have. Well,
I have one more thing, guys.
I did too.
Okay, go for it.
Whenever you're done. This is more for Brian than you, Kent. Did you, Brian, see Vin Diesel's post about watching Fast 6 with an audience for the first time?
No, I didn't. But I love it already, even though I haven't seen it.
He wrote a thing like, can't believe I've been playing these characters for however many years.
Yeah.
Just watch Fast 6 with an audience. Their reaction was overwhelming. Standing ovation at the end. Can't wait for other people to see this. So, Fast 6, baby.
It's the greatest movie ever, probably. I mean, that sounds like... Hey, Fast 7 is filming in Los Angeles this summer.
Yeah, they're already filming it this
field
summer.
trip.
I saw that.
Yeah, I'm in.
You got to get out there.
I know, they were in Scotland, and I should have... For this one, I should have called Scott. We could have gone out there and stayed with him, and then just stalked Vin Diesel
together.
Yeah, and then just stalk Vin Diesel until we see him, and then become best friends.
Right.
That's awesome news.
Because that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah, you guys, we would be friends.
You know what we should do, honestly, and this is being totally serious to all our subscribers and everything. On the week Fast 6 comes out, let's just record 3 episodes. Of Fast 6, do Fast 6, talk about it, for an hour, and then come back 3 days later, talk about it for another hour.
Yeah.
And we'll just give you guys 3 hours of Fast 6, maybe even 6 hours if we're feeling up to it.
Right. We'll spend an entire hour on Paul Walker, I feel like is a good idea.
Yeah, and I can talk about Ludacris's acting career for at least 45,
Totally. But guys, this is vehicular... Man, what is it? Vehicular warfare. Dead coming. Sorry, listeners, I ruined it.
There's too many solid films coming out, guys. Yeah. We could sit here all day and talk about how excited we are. I'm going to save mine movie news till G.I. Joe. I'm going to save mine till G.I. Joe because it pertains to that. So,
all right.
Let's talk about G.I. Joe: Retaliation. Hey, man, fam, question for you. Do you own a small business, or are you a boss? Are you looking to hire awesome people, but you just can't find somebody to fill that role? Well, let me tell you about ZipRecruiter.com. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100 plus job sites all with one click. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. Right now, you can post your jobs for free on ZipRecruiter by going to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. That's ZipRecruiter.com/mad. One more time, try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/mad. Thanks to ZipRecruiter for supporting this episode of the Mad About Movies podcast. Hey, what's up, Ma'am Fam? Kent here. And yes, if you're hearing from me, you know it's time to talk about Blue Apron. If you haven't tried out Blue Apron by now, what the heck are you even doing? Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. They deliver fresh meals straight to your door. All the food is fresh, it's sourced from local farms, and there's no wasted ingredients. I've been a Blue Apron subscriber for a long time now, and they have still, to this day, never let me down. There's tons of variety. Some featured upcoming meals include summer vegetable and egg paninis, soy glazed pork and rice cakes, skillet vegetable chili with cheddar drop biscuits, holy crap, and garlic butter shrimp and corn with green bean salad. So take it from me. Try out Blue Apron now. Go to blueapron.com/mad. That's blueapron.com/mad. Get 3 meals on us for free. Nothing goes better with a movie than dinner. So check out Blue Apron. blueapron.com/mad. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
General Colton,
Call me Joe.
Whoever did this will be back.
We're all that's left. Let's get to work. World ain't saving itself.
Okay, first of all, I want to say that thank you, Brian, for being so excited about this sequel, and that excitement has leaked to Richard and I.
Right.
And so we, like friends do, we saw the film, and we're breaking it down. We're breaking it down for the podcast. We're going to try and give you guys as much intellectual conversation that we can out of such a film as G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Kent just broke his fingers doing air quotes. His fingers look like Andre Ware's knee right now. He just air quoted so hard when he said intellectual.
Intellectual? I literally did. I just did that. So
I knew it. I could see it.
Don't. I mean, you're probably listening to this podcast. Hopefully, you don't think that we're seriously gonna try and talk about how great this movie is. Well, we can make an example of what not to do.
Speak for yourself.
Well, last week I think when Richard broke down Oz Great and Powerful, we said we can't wait to do a movie that's legitimately terrible. So hopefully this is it, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say, Richard, for this film. But I just want to say that I don't think I've ever had. I'm just going to go on first impressions here. We'll give our first impressions of the film, and then we'll break it down a little bit more. But I don't think I've ever had a worse experience in a theater in my life. I was sick to my stomach pretty much the entire time. I don't know how much of that had to do with the plot or the fact that I had a Doritos Cool Ranch Locos Tacos right before I went in. And so that Mountain Dew and Locos Tacos combination was not sitting well in my stomach to begin with. And I should have planned ahead on that front. But having said that, I want to just say that everything in this movie offended me. It insulted me as a moviegoer. It is one of the first times I can remember going to a theater and legitimately feeling ripped off for having sat there for an hour and a half, for 90 minutes exactly, guys. They pulled 90 minutes out of this. So
that's it.
Richard Barton.
So much longer.
Richard Barton, please, thoughts on G.I. Joe Retaliation?
Well, last week after seeing Wizard of Oz, or whatever it's called, Retaliation of Oz, I think I probably took the Mad About Movies title literally too far, and I'll try to keep myself tempered for this one. Brian knows that my favorite thing to do when seeing a movie is to just walk out of it if I don't like it. Sometimes even when I like it, I just I walk out. This one, because of my diligence to the podcast, I sat through. My legs sort of churning in the seat the whole time. I am going to confess something to both of you, and I hope I'm not judged for it. I never saw G.I. Joe 1. I realized
disclaimer, I only got through half of the first one.
And I thought I had seen it. And then as I watched this one, I realized I remembered none of it. I think I just saw a trailer for it, which happens as I get older. I just invent experiences.
Yeah.
So I can't compare this to. I've heard that this is quite a step up from the first film.
I don't see how that's possible.
It is. But I'll get into that because since I'm the only one who has seen the movie.
Yeah. So that being said, if this is a step up, and ironically directed by the director of Step Up,
so you know it's good.
So you know it has to be good. If this is a step up from Step Up and G.I. Joe whatever 1, I can't even imagine how this is just an awful movie. And I love The Rock, and I like Channing Tatum even though he's barely in this. And I'm with Brian that we both care for Bruce Lee. I love Ray Park's work at Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And this is just Adrienne Palicki or whatever her name is perfectly attractive. Just an awful movie. Just the fact that this came out like anywhere close to summer. The fact that Uwe Boll didn't direct this.
Yes.
Is shocking to me. And it's just I can't say anything. I just saw it hours ago. So I'm still at a loss of words. So I'll let Brian defend this. Right now, Brian is like he's like the lawyer of like one of those school shooting kids that everyone knows did it. He has to somehow come up with a defense, even though everyone knows what he's saying isn't true. And so that being said, the prosecution rests. Kent and I are going to sit down and cross our arms. And Brian Gill, your defense of G.I. Joe, Retaliation.
Okay, I'm not going to defend this movie at all.
No, you are. Go ahead.
It is better than Rise of Cobra, which is such a terrible title for a movie.
I was in a porn called that a couple years ago. Dark part of my life. Really dark life.
I saw Rise of Cobra at a midnight screening, of course, when it first came out, and was just blown away by how horrible it was. But over the last 4 or 5 years, whenever it came out in 08 or 09, I think 09. Over the last 4 years, I've forgotten how horrible it was, and I went and rented it, I don't know, a month or two ago, just to catch up, so I could be reminded. I didn't want to be left unawares going into the sequel. And I probably watched 15 minutes, and then it was like, oh right, this is what this is about, and it's horrible. I think that might be the worst blockbuster action movie I've ever seen. I mean,
did you ever see Battleship?
I love Battleship. I have an affinity for Battleship despite its idiocy. But I know that I am the only person in the world that likes that movie, so it's okay. G.I. Joe is abysmal. And I mean, you can always find like straight to DVD action movies on Netflix, that I'm sure are worse than both of these movies are. But as far as like an actual blockbuster-y movie, Rise of Cobra is, if it's not the worst, it is certainly in the conversation. So I'll say this. Retaliation is better than Rise of Cobra is, but as I texted you guys, so is the dump that I took this morning. Like, there's nothing worse than that.
I really wish you hadn't included the picture in that text message.
Yeah,
but other than that, I see your point.
I wanted to be thorough. Here, I wrote a review for G.I. Joe Retaliation, and I just listed pros and cons because I just couldn't. It was such a terrible movie that I didn't feel like I needed to come up with a cohesive, like, actual review. I just went with the pros and cons list. I have 5 pros. 1 I already mentioned. It's better than Rise of Cobra. 2, Walt Goggins, who plays the prison warden, is one of my favorite character actors. So he showed up, and he's only in it for like 5 minutes, and you're like, that was probably the best 5 minutes of the movie.
Django.
Yeah, Django, exactly. The beginning of the ninja fight scene between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow is pretty awesome. It deteriorates very quickly, but at the very beginning, it's kind of cool. Adrienne Palicki is hot. She's not a good actress, but she's attractive. And then The Rock, I felt like The Rock was pretty solid. I felt like he did the absolute most that a human being could do with what he was given to work with. And even still, listing all those pros, I gave it a D, and I kind of might go back later and change it to an F. I mean, it's a horrible movie. This is, if you're not a 10-year-old boy, I can't imagine that you will enjoy this movie at all.
Apt commentary there, Brian. I agree with you a lot. It's funny because, I mean, films like this just seem like they just want it to be terrible. I mean, I don't see how it's honestly possible for Paramount Pictures to allow this to happen, and you know, unless they're aiming it at just 5-year-old children. And even then, I don't even know if they would like it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just...
that's the thing, Ken. It's I love movies like I just mentioned Battleship. I love the A-Team. Even some of the Fast and Furious movies, I mean, I think Fast 5 is a really good action movie, but there are some Fast and the 4th one is not it's probably not a good movie, but I really enjoy it, you know.
Bite your tongue, Brian.
I really like that, and certainly the first one falls into that category. It's not a good movie, but you really enjoy it.
Tokyo Drift, though, is great.
Yeah. It's in my top 100 of all time. But this movie is just not. It takes it. You're right. It's so stupid, and yet it seems like it takes itself seriously. Like it wants to be a legitimate action movie to put on par with Die Hard or something. But then so much of the tone of the movie is geared towards 7-year-olds. So I don't. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't matter because it made like $150 million. But what are we doing? I don't understand how any adult human being could sit through this and not come out and say that's one of the worst action movies ever. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off and rant. But
spoiler territory coming up right now for G.I. Joe Retaliation. Don't see it.
Yeah.
Run as far as you can from the theater.
Yeah,
if anyone that tries to make you see it.
Stick around through the spoilers, and we'll just tell you the entire movie, and then
how ridiculous it is. Yeah,
so bad. No one should see this movie.
So, one of the big, for those of you who don't know, this movie's been on the shelf for a year, pretty much. It was supposed to come out last summer, but it got delayed. The studio didn't want to release it. They said it was because they wanted to convert it to 3D. Which, you know, who do you believe there? And it could have been because last spring, specifically, Channing Tatum became a huge star with 21 Jump Street. And after that, Magic Mike. So, you know, the fact that he is only in a little bit of this movie, there was rumors that they went back for reshoots to put more Channing Tatum into the movie. Having said that, why does he die 10 minutes into the movie? What was going on there? That contributes nothing to the plot whatsoever. The one interesting character that audiences care about, they kill him off, and now you're just left with The Rock and this chick and this other guy that has DJ
he's so awful.
Flint is his name? Flint,
yeah. DJ Cortona or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
just the worst. And there's these scenes between Adrienne Palicki and DJ Cortona that are just the worst. Acting you've ever seen, just trying to be, and it's like they're falling in love, but it's just like awkward, so you don't know if they're supposed to be falling in love or if it's like it's supposed to be awkward. You know, it's just horrible execution on all parts of that whole storyline. I don't know why they killed Channing Tatum. Why did they do that?
I think he had an out. I think
he probably said, "I'll only be in it if you kill me off."
Yeah,
or
he
something.
did. Well, like he was contractually obligated to do too, but he somehow they decided they didn't really want him back, and he didn't really want them back, so they killed him off quickly, and then he became a movie star last summer. So then contractually, that's part of the reason the movie was delayed. They contractually went back and tried to get him to film some more scenes, and obviously, I guess it didn't end up happening.
Well, I think. In the because he's in it for about 15 minutes. When you say the first 15 minutes of the movie, he's involved.
Yeah,
those scenes like with him hanging out with The Rock's daughters and things like that. I think that was added after the fact.
That's
which
the opening
makes no
scene.
sense. But
It's
I
just
think
horrible.
they tried to buff up his character as much as they could. Because, like you guys said, I mean, when they shot the first movie, that was right in the middle of, oh my God, Channing Tatum is the worst actor ever, and. So I don't think, when they shot the second movie, they were going to kill his character off the whole time and bring in up, play up The Rock. And then they had to go. But the way they kill him off is the worst. And did you guys feel, I don't know, maybe I'm just making this up, but the way that they kill him off screen,
the way
never
they show
see his
it,
face
you
or
don't
anything.
know if he's dead or
and
not.
So
yeah.
he's coming back in the third movie, right? Like this totally, he's going to come back as like Cobra Commander or something. I mean, it's going to happen. And that frustrated me. That was just another one in a long list of what are we doing?
Talk about more of your frustrations, Brian, because you said what you like, but give us what you thought was just horrible about this film.
One of the worst scripts that I've ever seen put to film. There are about 1 million plot points that either are stupid, just plain stupid, or make no sense at all.
I'll mention one of those right now.
Yeah.
The remote control bullets. Why do you have the remote control bullets if you don't use them in any important moment of the film?
They use
the
it
climax,
at the very beginning.
They use it at the very beginning and show you what it looks like, and that's it. They don't ever come back to it. They don't kill the main villain with it. They don't do anything creative. They just show you it. It looks really cool, and I guess they shoot one of the little henchmen guys. One of their
cat
goons.
is really worked up too about this movie. Your cat is not happy about it.
I know.
Oh, it's your dog.
My wife just came home and the dog is losing her mind. Hopefully she'll be put away here in a second. But no, you're right. Things like that constantly throughout this movie. They make a big point. Like, for example, they make a big thing out of Storm Shadow, the villainous ninja, not using a gun. Like he's got it. He's got to do things the right way, like the old way with the sword. And then later in the movie, he's just shooting people. Like, what? That doesn't make. Why are we doing that? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Brian,
my favorite.
Guns are for the weak. They're for the stupid. Oh, no offense.
Yeah, I changed my mind.
The Gerber quote. You didn't catch it.
Yes, I loved it. I don't know how to use one. My favorite of all the plot points that made. I love at the end. Spoiler alert. The G.I. Joes basically allow Cobra Commander to destroy all of London in order to out him as Cobra Commander. It's like, well, sorry, it sucks to be London. Like, what?
I noticed that too.
What are we doing? I mean,
mission failed. Yeah.
And there's other points in the movie.
Let's mention right now how they destroy London, Brian. They don't bomb them. They don't shoot them. They drop rods on them, guys.
Yeah.
Rods from outer space. Yeah, they drop poles from outer space that travel so fast that they blow stuff up. It's like the Empire State Building when you throw a penny off. Except that's the climax of the film.
I said something about that in my review, and I got some flack from people who said that's actually a viable, which I'm not questioning whether or not it's a viable means of warfare or whatever, but what's the point?
It's like, no, but they're building it up the entire time. They're building it up like our weapon is about to be complete, and then they're like giving a spiel to the world about what their weapon does. They're like, it drops rods from really high up.
Joke. It's such a joke. There's other points in the movie where it seems like the characters have read the script for the movie, so they know what happened in places where they weren't. That kind of drove me nuts. John Chu, the director, has no idea how to shoot an action sequence. I didn't see it in 3D because why would I pay extra money to see this movie in 3D? But so much of the action, it's that fast pace. It's that stupid fast action where you can't even tell what's happening. That's almost every single action sequence is shot like that, to where you can't keep up with it. It's just so bad. Ray Stevenson, his accent kept changing throughout the whole movie, which makes no sense. I mean, it's so bad.
I want to mention how bad the score is of this film. This score sounds like Predator 3, out of 1989. It's just the worst, like, most out of place, unsatisfying score I've ever heard in an action film. It's just the worst. That's like they took synthesizers, and just hit them with hammers the entire time. It's horrible.
I think that's maybe the biggest problem with the whole movie, beyond everything else. Which, by the way, the RZA also belongs in this conversation. As a Wu-Tang fan, go make a rap album. What are you doing? Stop being in movies. No, but the entire film, and correct me if y'all didn't feel this way, but everything about this movie felt incredibly dated. It felt like it was written by an 8th grader in 1999.
Yeah, it did. It felt like the original Power Rangers movie.
Yes, that's a very, very good description.
There wasn't quite enough new metal in it, but I guess I can move on from there.
Yeah, but like you said, Kent, the score seems old and out of place. Some of the dialogue the president makes allusion to going to dinner with Bono, and it's like, that's
the pop culture
Bono
references.
It's just there's another point
terrible.
Where
their battle cry is a Jay-Z lyric.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. The Rock beats up with his buddy from the hood, and they make a big deal out of doing a fist bump. It's like, what? I don't know. It's so bad.
The president plays Angry Birds, guys.
Yeah.
He pulls out an iPhone and plays Angry Birds in the middle of a war. And
that has got to be one of the worst.
There's a reference to Ryan Seacrest. There's a Miley Cyrus reference in there. Yeah. There's a Snuggie drop. Yes, they say they drop Snuggie in this film.
Yeah.
Just the worst, just like the stuff imaginable, like stuff
it's like an action movie trying to rip off Juno or something. I mean, they just kept throwing in these pop culture references that are so dated and have no bearing on the movie in any way, shape, or form. I got a friend on Twitter. I put up my review and said, you should not see this movie or something, and he said, is it at least fun or good from a this is stupid fun standpoint? And my exact quote back to him was, if somebody gives you the choice between red boxing this movie and getting kicked in the nuts, you should take the kick in the nuts and be grateful. It's so brutal. It's just ugh.
I want to mention another scene that's just terrible. That's the shooting the cupcake off the off the rod or the fence thing. Just an attempt at humor. Every attempt at humor in this movie fails miserably. I sat in a theater that was about half full, and no one even attempted to crack a smile. You could tell the entire time, especially during the first scene where they're playing Call of Duty, and it's supposed to be this big reveal. Oh, they're not in a war. They're playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And they just go back and forth with like, oh, you get out of there. Oh, duck. Oh, look out. I'm firing. And just not funny at all, and just so out of place, and just like, get on with it. And the action, like you said, it just makes no sense. There's no sense of scale in any of this. One of the most ridiculous action scenes I've ever seen in a movie is in this, when they're when Channing Tatum's still in the film, and they're going to steal a nuclear warhead back from the bad guys, and so they go on a gun assault through the nuclear warhead factory. And they're like running in with machine guns. Like, how is that in any way what?
And doing really parkour moves up and down. I mean, good God.
It's just so awesome. There's not an ounce of logic used in any scene of this film at all.
Yeah.
But I will say, it seems like they just made the film for the scene where they're on the zip lines The ninjas are on the zip lines. That's the one, I guess, 5 minutes of that. If that was in a decent movie, it would be an okay scene. Like if The Dark Knight, did a scene on the side of a mountain like that. It's all CGI, probably, but it looked okay, and it was bearable. Nobody was talking, so
definitely the best scene in the movie.
Definitely the best scene in the film, but by no means is that saying it's worth the price of admission. Yeah.
Nothing is worth the price of admission for this movie. Please don't see it.
Richard, any thoughts on G.I. Joe?
Not nearly enough Marlon Wayans.
Right? Seriously. Guys, I heard it's Bruce. Oh, let's talk about Bruce Willis for a minute. What did you guys think of him being in there? I thought it was just him taking a check. It was an attempt at, oh, look, it's John McClane, but no, it's not John McClane. It was the scene where he's taking him around their house and just they're finding guns everywhere. Goes on for about 5 minutes too long. Yeah, it's just not creative, the places he's hiding guns. It's like, oh, they're in the cabinet. Right. It's like they're under the couch. Like, duh. Where do you keep stuff? Like, don't go in the garage. Oh, wait, your garage is full of guns? Oh, my gosh. This is crazy. Yeah. So it's just
I really loved when he made a big deal about enlisting some old friends of his from the old Joes. And then they're there for like the meeting, and then you never see them again. I thought Willis was probably one of the better things about the movie, but he's in it for 10 minutes.
Just because he's Bruce Willis.
Yeah, and he's he's a guy that knows that there's almost nothing he can do to turn people against him. He can show if you're going to give him $5 million to do a movie, he's going to do it because he's got this crazy weird legacy where you can't touch him. You can't ever affect him no matter how bad the movies are that he's in. And so he just keeps showing up, but
Guys, this was Bruce Willis's top grossing weekend box office of all time. And they've already greenlit G.I. Joe 3, so get excited. We're going to probably be doing this again pretty soon.
Crickets. Awesome. I mean, of course it is. It made that much money. Of course it's going to get greenlit for a sequel, but dear Lord.
And guys, what I wanted to mention in movie news on this regard was Hasbro has said that it's not out of the realm of possibility at all. I think you know where I'm going with this. For a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover film.
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't you at this point?
Did J.J. Abrams sign on for that also?
Yeah. No, that's Peter Jackson that's doing that one. I mean, of course they would do that. This is what happens when you let a toy manufacturer decide what movies get made in a given year. I mean,
well, Brian, hopefully we can get more board game movies.
Yeah.
We're getting Monopoly, guys.
Where's Operation?
We're getting Candyland with Adam Sandler, so look forward to that.
So it's good. This week is making me lose faith in humanity and movies in general. I don't know if I'm going to be back next week. I might quit. I don't know.
Guys, the bad movie season is officially over, it seems like, though. It really is. This weekend, Jurassic Park 3D, or Jurassic Park 3D, excuse me, is coming out. So that's going to be a good one.
I'm excited.
Movie season has started, so the bad is behind us, and guys, it can only get better from here. I think we can all agree.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
I think that about wraps it up for G.I. Joe Retaliation. Once again, do not see this film. Do not contribute any money to what they're doing here. We've already done that for you, so consider us. We saw the movie for you guys, so you guys don't have to.
We'll be writing it off for tax purposes, though, because of this podcast. So
I legitimately wanted a refund. Like, I almost asked for a refund. I was so offended. And guys, the end of the film, let's not forget the song that they play. How do you like me now?
How do you like me now? Exactly. Yes. Of course that was the song they chose to close on. Ugh.
I don't like them at all. It made me hate them.
Overall, let's go around the table. B+. Brian?
I'm changing mine to an F. I started at a D, but I've talked myself into an F.
If it's possible to get lower than an F, I give this film
hold on. On a scale from... Hold on.
Letter M.
Hear me out. On a scale of A- to A+, where do you rank this? A minus being the lowest.
Minus.
So A minus. I'll write you down for an A minus. Okay, cool.
So let's move on, guys. Unless you have anything else to say about this film.
No, let's stop talking about that movie.
Okay, let's go on to weekly recommends. Brian.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't been able to. I've been really busy. Haven't been able to go to the movies much. So Wednesday night, I went and did a double feature that ended with G.I. Joe Retaliation, the worst movie of the year. But it actually started with the movie that, for right now at least, I'm sure it'll get topped many times over eventually, but for right now at least stands as the best movie of the year in my book, and that is DreamWorks animation The Croods,
Really?
starring Nicolas Cage, Emma Stone, Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I gotta admit I was not enthused about the movie. There was nothing in the trailers that led me to have a whole lot of anticipation for it. DreamWorks animated movies in general are usually fairly generic. Yeah, it was okay, B or B minus type movies for me. But this one really works. First of all, it's beautiful. The animation is just gorgeous. I thought of you, Kent, because you're the 3D guru in my life. And I didn't see it in 3D because I hate 3D. And I actually, for maybe the second time ever, I wished I was seeing it in 3D because it was just such a gorgeous, lavish film. The story is very simple, easy to follow along, but still they don't lose focus because of that. You know, it's a kids movie, but it's focused enough to where sometimes kids movies drive me crazy when they kind of go off the rails and get into tangents and stuff that I don't really care about. This one stays on focus the whole time. It's smarter than I anticipated it would be. And the voice talent is really good. Ryan Reynolds is really good. Nicolas Cage was really good. It has a very old fashioned feel to it. It feels like a Disney movie from the Disney heyday, but with better animation. So I really enjoyed it. It's definitely, if you have kids, it's definitely one you want to take your kids to because it's a lot of fun for kids and adults, and it's totally clean. There's nothing in there that's going to upset parents or anything like that. But if you don't have kids, it's worth seeing. I enjoyed it. It's fun. I gave it an A, which I certainly didn't expect it to come away with. So cool. The Croods would be my recommendation for the week.
Sweet. So The Croods is out now, I believe, in 3D and 2D.
Yep.
And I'll have to check that out. Thanks, Brian. Richard.
My recommendation, I'm going to go into I try to, spice mine up with movies and television and books. Mine is actually a book for this week, came out today, and I've read a few chapters of it in my travels today. Excellent so far. It's called Everything is Perfect When You're a Liar.
Yeah.
And it is by Kelly Oxford. Yes, one of my, who's become famous, kind of one of the first Twitter celebrities, not celebrities on Twitter, but Twitter made celebrities through her wit and her blog, her Tumblr as well. And she's now written a book and gotten a movie deal out of it. She's also sold a script, but the book is excellent. She really works well in essay form. I love comedic essay. It's one of my favorite forms of reading. It's the easiest thing to read and the most fun. Michael Ian Black comes to mind, who's an excellent modern humorous essayist. David Sedaris, Steve Martin, a lot of people that are really good in that. And she holds her own. It's got a great female perspective, but it doesn't. Brian and I read Mindy Kaling's book last year, which I really liked, but I thought really limited to a male audience. In that it was very good, but I feel like I would have liked it 10 times more being a female. I feel like everyone would really enjoy this book. I think it's really smart, really funny, and just a fun, easy read. Perfect kind of beach, spring, summer reading. So that's all I got.
Great. I'm looking forward to that one. She's a funny follow. She's very offensive sometimes, so
yes.
if you're a very religious person, don't follow her. But she's very funny, and you can't help but laugh at pretty much all she says.
She's not quite as bad as Jenny Johnson. She's like the more tempered. Yeah. Jenny Johnson's even more crude, but the book is solid. So, Kent, cool. Your recommend of the week?
Yeah. I'm going to recommend a documentary I got a chance to check out this past week. It just came out to iTunes. It is called Room 237. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a film. It's kind of a cinematic analysis movie, if you will. I don't know the correct genre, really, you would consider it, but it goes in depth on the Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And it basically breaks down The Shining in a number of ways. About 5 different writers, I guess, give their opinions on what they think that The Shining means, the underlying message of the film. And it's just really interesting as it breaks down, pretty much every aspect, the dialogue. It breaks down, what's in the background, the different props that are around, what do they mean, why did Kubrick put that thing there, because Kubrick was one of those filmmakers that every aspect of every frame was there for a purpose, So there's one person thinks that Kubrick was had an underlying theme of the Native Americans, disdain for us, and that the hotel was basically on a burial ground, and there's pictures of Indians around the hotel and small things like that. And another guy thought that the film was Kubrick telling people that he was involved in faking the Apollo mission, the Apollo 11 mission, that he had a very strong hand in that. So there's a lot. There's so many different things you can read into The Shining. It's one of those films that people still don't know its true meanings, but it's, even if you don't like the film, it's a very entertaining documentary, and it's definitely one that will kind of open your eyes to a lot of Kubrick's work. So have you guys heard about it?
Yeah, I'd seen it and saw that it was coming out.
It kind of had made the festival rounds this past year. It's
Sundance
and South by Southwest and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm definitely interested to see it. I hope it makes it to Netflix.
It's not shot like a typical documentary. It's basically footage of The Shining with people giving commentary over it. But it's a really cool documentary, and definitely check it out. And it's to be one of those cool things, watch The Shining and then watch it right after, if you're into, breaking down films, which you obviously are if you're listening to this podcast.
Right.
Brian Gill, where can I find your work online?
Yeah, I'm at bgill12 on Twitter and thesoapboxoffice.com for movie reviews and shenanigans.
Richard Barden.
I'm at RB13 on Zanga, and I'm at Richard Barden on Twitter and richardbarden.com for my blogging and so on and so forth. Kent, where might I find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Kent Garrison. That's Kent Garrison. You can email the show at madaboutmoviespodcast@gmail.com. You can like us on Facebook. Leave us a 5-star review. I see that we got a few more since the last week, so that's great
awesome
stuff. Thank you guys so much. And anything else you guys want to mention for this week, guys?
I love you both.
Let's go Mavericks.
Yeah.
Let's go Mavericks. Let's go Rangers, guys. I believe Yu Darvish has a perfect game going now.
Don't
So
talk about it.
We're going to get off this and go check that out. So,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Until next time, we will see you guys at the cinema.
Boom.
Bye.